The first question asks you for an equation of the line in slope-intercept form, and they give you the slope and the y-intercept. So you just have to figure out how to type it in this math area. You can use your keyboard or the math area. I would do negative and then the fraction bar, or the little fraction button, 2/3, and then x minus 5. And it should accept, like if your negative is on top with the 2, it should accept that. If you do plus a negative 5, it should accept that. But this is the most correct way to write it. Okay, next question. Write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form that has the given properties. So this time you need to use these properties, or these formulas that are over here on the left. We need to start by finding the slope. Remember, for the slope, if you've got these points, I saw some people doing this wrong, make sure that you're subtracting the y's on top. So you need to do 1 minus a negative 2 on the top, and subtract your x's on the bottom. So 12 minus 6 on the bottom. That's going to give us 3/6, which is 1/2. So our slope is 1/2. Then we use our slope and one of the points. Which point do you want to use? I would use 12/1. I'm going to do y minus 1 equals 1/2 times x minus 12. If you use the other point, that's totally fine. If you use the other point, you would have y minus a negative 2 equals 1/2 times x minus 6. Either way will get you the correct answer. Distribute your slope, so 1/2 x minus 6. Add 1 on both sides, and you end up with 1/2 x minus 5. Okay, if you did it this other one, you have y plus 2, half x minus 3, subtract 2 on both sides, and you end up with 1/2 x minus 5. So no matter which point you choose, you'll get the same thing. Fraction bar, 1/2 x minus 5. Write an equation of the line that passes through the point 4, 6 for negative 6 and is perpendicular to the line y equals negative 2x minus 10. Do we care about that minus 10 at all in that formula? No, we only care about the negative 2, and if the original slope is negative 2, that means the slope that we want to use is positive 1/2. So y minus a negative 6 equals positive 1/2 times x minus 4. 1/2 x minus 2. Subtract 6 on both sides. 1/2 x minus 8. It's a lot of 1/2s in here, aren't there? Y equals 1/2 x minus 8. Okay, this one on the test is not quite as ridiculously easy as this one on the review. I think in the future we maybe need to draw our own scatter plot instead of finding one on the internet to use. What you're supposed to do here, and what you will likely need to do on the test, is pick 2 points that are on this scatter plot, that are on the line. So one of the points is already there, but I'm actually going to choose, I think, this point, 2, 2. And then somewhere on the left side, I'm going to pick the point negative 1, negative 1. And you can probably already guess what the slope is going to be, but negative 1 minus 2 over negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3 over negative 3, which is positive 1. There's a slope of positive 1. Then you're supposed to use point slope form with one of those points. So y minus 2 equals 1 times x minus 2. and you end up getting y equals 1x, or just y equals x. And honestly, looking at that line, you can probably figure out that that's the line y equals x. The line on the test is not going to be that simple. You're going to have to pick 2 points, find the slope, plug it into point slope form. You can kind of check yourself by seeing if the equation that you end up with looks like the equation or the line that's graphed, but it will not be quite this simple. If you want any additional help with finding the best, like finding the equation for the best fitting line, let me know. I can draw up a scatter plot and a line for you and ask you to find the equation of it. But if you feel pretty confident about number 2, the second question where you have the 2 points, then you're probably going to be fine with the scatter plot as long as you are comfortable finding 2 points that are on the line that is graphed. Okay, the next one. This one's a little bit weird because it gives you the line in what we call standard form. Negative 3x plus 2y equals 10. We don't normally see equations written that way. We want our line to go through the point 2, -5 and be parallel to this line. So we need to figure out what is the slope of this line. So I'm going to add 3x to both sides. So I've got 2y equals 3x plus 10. Then I'm going to divide everything by 2. Honestly, I don't care what the actual result of that is. All I care about is that when I divide everything by 2, I end up with 3/2 as my slope. So our slope needs to be parallel. Our slope is going to be 3/2. So y minus a -5 equals 3/2 times x minus 2. You may want to use your calculator to help you distribute that 3/2, or what decimal is 3/2? You can totally do 1.5 when you're doing this in your calculator, because 3/2 x, 3/2 or 1.5 times -2 is -3. Then you can subtract 5 on both sides to get y equals 3/2 x minus, oh, hey, I did way too much work, didn't I? Yeah. All I needed to do is this part. Shoot. Yeah, you don't even look at the answers. That's the kind of math person I am. Like, I'm actually really bad at multiple choice tests because I just do the math and I don't look at what my answer choices are. So on the actual test, I believe the slopes aren't all the same. So the first thing you can do is using your answer eliminator tool. If one of these has a slope that doesn't match what your slope should be, you can X it out. But we need it to be x minus 2 in this parentheses, so it can't be that one and it can't be that one. And y minus a -5 makes it y plus 5, so it can't be that one. That's the one it has to be. Now keep in mind, oh sorry, ignore that, virtual people. There are directions for graphing over here on the left, and I wish that you could actually see all of this better. I think, do you have to scroll a whole lot on this one on your screens? I hope not. So when you're graphing this kind of a thing, and I'm actually going to make my screen a little bit bigger so that we can see this okay. You start by clicking line A. It puts something on the graph for you. You need to drag these points to make the line that you want. So I know this needs to be y is less than 4. Y is a horizontal line, so I'm going to make this a horizontal line. Then over here next to line A, there's these little bullets. You have to decide, do you want this to be a dashed line or a solid line? So don't forget to click to check if you want this dashed or solid. This one should be dashed. Once your line is set the way you want it, then you click the next box. You click Solution Set, and this lets you select which side of the graph you want it to shade. So y is less than 4, we would want to shade down, so you'd click on the lower part. and that would be how you enter that problem correctly. There were a few issues with this not grading correctly on a couple people's. I'm going to be checking to make sure that this does grade properly on the test. Okay, graph the inequality y is greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 4. Again, we start by clicking line A, and we do want this to be a solid line. Plus 4, so we need to put one of the dots at 4, and the slope is negative 2, so down 2, right 1. Solution set, greater than would be up from this line, so I would shade that side. Remember, if you're struggling with which side to shade, you can always choose the point 0, 0 and plug it in. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 4 is 4. Is 0 bigger than 4? No. So the point 0, 0 is not a solution. You would not shade that side. You would shade the other side. So you can always pick a point and test it to see if that's the solution side or not. And I believe the next one is another graph, but this time you have to rearrange before you graph. So on this one, we've got 3x minus 6y is greater than 12. We're going to subtract 3x on both sides and divide by negative 6. What happens when we divide by negative 6? It changes the sign. So we have y is less than positive 1/2 x minus 2. So I click line A. I want my y-intercept at negative 2. I want a slope of 1/2, so up 1 over 2. I want this to be a dashed line. Then I click solution set. Less than would be shading down. On these problems, make sure that you are using your mouse, not your finger. Fingers don't work very well on the touch screens. And also make sure you're using Google Chrome with EdSite, not any other browser. Google Chrome is going to work the best with all of these features. Piecewise functions. We need to figure out which one to plug the number into. So g of 6, that'd be this g function over here on the right. 6 is definitely bigger than 0, so we're going to plug 6 into the bottom one. So 1/2 times 6 plus 5. Half of 6 is 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. So we type in 8. F of 2, that means we're using this left f function. 2 is smaller than 3, so we're going to use the top one. 2 plus 5 is 7. F of 3, which one are we going to use for f of 3? X plus 5, so 3 plus 5 is 8. G of negative 3. Negative 3 is less than 0, so we are going to use the top function. Negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. And you can just push the minus button on your keyboard and then 7. G of 0, that's this function over here on the right. G of 0, 0 equals 0, so we use the bottom function. Half of 0 is 0. 0 plus 5 is 5. F of 4, we're using the function on the left. 4 is bigger than 3, so we're going to plug it into 5x minus 2. So 5 times 4 is 20. 20 minus 2 is 18. Did any of you get that big of a number and think, oh crap, I did something wrong, that's too big of a number? Don't worry about that. Try not to second guess yourself. If that's the first answer that you got, trust it, because we didn't necessarily make them all single digit numbers. Some of them might be bigger.